Hey, what's up, world? Welcome to the BTrue2U Talk Show. You know what to do. Go ahead and make sure you share. Make sure you like, invite your friends, your cousin, your sister, your auntie, your brother, and don't forget your daddy. They want to be a part of this segment. First of all, I want to tell you thank you again for joining us, and we're here every Monday at 7 p.m. Y'all, now I have a special guest, and before I bring her on, I want to make a disclaimer that I don't bring anyone on the channel or on the platform that I don't stand with. We have different opinion, but at the same time, I believe the God that's in this woman, and I'm going to bring her up to you. She's a woman of God. Actually, she's almost like, I don't want to say almost like, I guess she's my adopted sister because she swear my mama is her mama and my sister is her sister, so that means that me and her sisters, that kind of thing. And so I want you guys to put your hands together as I bring forward Miss Tania Moore-Lovett. Put your hands together. Hey, sis. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I am well. First, I want to tell you thank you so very much for saying yes to come on the platform. I know you don't live in Broward, so it was a drive for you. So that means you love us. And so I want to say I appreciate you. I brought you on the platform because, one, I see the God that's in you. Two, I love a person that's not afraid to share where God has brought them from. Most often, we find people of leaders, with a title. When they come over to Christ, they tend to forget where they came from, and we tend to start preaching at the people instead of preaching to the people. And I love that you're not afraid to share where God has delivered you from. And so I want you to do me a favor, look into the camera, introduce yourself to the people, and tell them a little about yourself.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Apostle Tania Moore-Lovett. I am born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a life coach and an author. But most and foremost, I am a woman who has been delivered by God, and I believe that the same God that did it for me is the same God that can do it for everyone else. And I love to share that point and put it across to the people.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I was talking to my husband earlier today, and I was like, it's kind of hard to get people to be on the platform. And when I say that, because I'm choicy, right? I don't want people to come on the platform just to share their product or their business. I want people that will come on the platform who's willing to share their testimony, because they said that we'll overcome by the blood of the word of our testimony. And so I want somebody to go come and tell their story, that to the point, not that I'm the victim, not that I'm drumming up my past and trying to make me look worse or worse me, but the part that if God delivered me, he can deliver you too. And so with that being said, can you please tell us a little bit about your story as far as where God brought you from?
He brought me from being a victim to being victorious.
Okay.
Feeling abandoned by my mother, feeling abandoned by not knowing who my father was, being raised by my grandparents, being molested from a child and nobody listening, and becoming a teenage mother and doing whatever I had to do to take care of my three kids. And so when I look at my life and I look back at my life, and I see young women and I see young men and I hear people say, oh, they're going to be a product of their environment, I know that that is a lie. Because I could remember, and I think we'll start here. I remember when I went to prison. And when I went to prison, my grandmother passed.
So while you were in prison, incarcerated, your grandmother passed.
My grandmother that raised me.
Okay.
She
So that was
passed.
like your mom.
That was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to coming back from the back door and walking, and the walk from the main office to the dormitory where I was at was about a mile walk. And I remember hearing Satan say to me, what you gonna do now? And I said, what do you mean, what am I gonna do now? And he said, the only person that ever loved you dead and gone, and they just told you you was gonna die. I said, what do you mean I'm gonna die? He said, well, they just told you you HIV positive. Yeah, they did. what are you gonna do now? You gonna die. You ain't got nothing and you ain't got nobody. You might as well kill yourself. That was the moment that I made up my mind in 2002 that I was gonna live for God the rest of my life.
2002. And so you've just shared in this opening some things that I did not know. And so first of all, I want to tell you thank you. And because so often people get on the platform and they don't know, they come in mind that they're going to tell the truth, but I don't know if they get fearful and they withdraw. But I just seen you open up from the beginning, and so I know this is going to make a difference. I too come from a form of rejection, and I hear that in your story. What I think is amazing, when your grandmother passed, you said the enemy told you, who's going to love you now? It's funny, when my father passed, I asked God, who's going to love me now? Literally, who's going to love me now? Because I felt like I was the black sheep of the family. I felt like I had put my mom through so much, and no matter what I put my mom through, my daddy always would come. Even when I would run away, he would come find me, or he would call and make me come home. He would come in my bed at the midnight hour, tell me how much he loved me, and I better not do this again, do that. But it was just so much love.
Right.
That when he left, I get what you're saying as far as feeling like, now that your grandmother is gone, who's gonna love you now? And so, can I ask, did you feel God wooing you before then, and now that's why you decided in 2002 to give your life to Christ, or what caused you to run to Him at that moment?
It was over time, because from a little girl, I was raised in the Seventh Day Adventist Church.
Mm-hmm.
I went to their school up until I was in fifth grade, so I had been groomed in ministry per se, and I knew the Bible, but I didn't know Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Say that again.
I knew the Bible, but I didn't know Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I could quote scripture from Genesis to Revelation, but I had no insight. I had no revelation of who Jesus really was in my life and in the life of a believer, how he should be. And so when that moment happened, it took me back to all of the things I heard from a little girl up until maybe a month before me getting incarcerated. And at that moment, the last thing I remember, I was working, and I worked with a young minister, and he said to me, he pulled me to the side and he said, the Lord told me to tell you, to whom much is given, much is required, and he's requiring much of you. And because you believe what religion tell you, that you got to stop everything you doing to come to him, he says he's going to show you something different.
Wow. And so 2002, you go, you're no, 2000, what, I'm sorry, let me not assume, what year did you get incarcerated?
It was 2002.
And your grandmother passed in 2002.
Yes.
And so how much time was in between you getting incarcerated and your grandmother passing?
Probably 60 days.
Wow. Yeah. So now you in prison. So now that your grandmother is gone, are you feeling more guilt about your decisions and some of the things you made? What was you feeling?
What happened, I had a dream. And in that dream, I saw my grandmother leaving here, because I knew before I went to prison my grandmother had stage 4 cancer.
Oh, okay.
And so her desire, or when I called home to tell her what happened, she was like, well, we can just pay for it and you can come home. And the law said that the crimes that I had committed, if the money was paid, that I could be released.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't release me.
Who wouldn't release you? The people?
The state of South Carolina would not release me.
You was in South Carolina?
I was in
Girl, what you was doing in South Carolina?
Following a man.
How long was you in South Carolina?
Almost 3 years.
Oh, okay. So the Floridian done went to Carolina, get locked up in Carolina. May I ask, what did you do?
Check fraud.
Okay. And so not that much. So if they paid for it, they could, right?
Right.
Okay.
So there's a story behind the check fraud. So the man that I followed to South Carolina molested my oldest daughter.
Did you know that before?
I did not know.
Okay.
And so this was the beginning of a cycle of everything just going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All hell breaking loose in my
Mm-hmm.
life. And so Child Protective Services came, snatched my children out of my arms on the corner of a highway
In South Carolina.
in South Carolina, Highway 6 in Cross, South Carolina. And I'm trying to fight the people, fight the police. And the police officer was so gracious. He said, just stop, because I don't want to take you in. He says, can I just be honest with you? I said, yeah. He said, they don't like you. The people that call this in don't like you. I can't tell you who it is. He said, but you can look at this and just know that this right here is against you. He said, so just stop so I don't take you in.
Don't make matters worse.
And so I backed up because I listened to him. I just backed up. And he said, it's going to work out, okay? I didn't know at the moment that the sheriff that was there was a pastor. So
God is good.
God is good.
Mm-hmm.
So I backed up and I called my grandmother and I told her what was going on. She said, cooperate with them people and you'll get the kids back. So I'm cooperating with them, but then they give me this list. You got to move. You got to make sure you have transportation. The one that got molested needs her own room because she needs now privacy to deal with her emotions. So you're going to need a 3-bedroom house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you cannot stay in the same city because he is here. Okay. So God worked it out.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm saying at this time you was living with him?
I was living with him.
Okay, go ahead. So God worked it out.
God worked it out. I was able to move, found a place, but now you got to have bed, they got to have clothes, they got to have all of this stuff. So I'm getting all of this stuff. So I'm writing checks and I'm like, okay, I can pay them. I know I got 30 days. If I just pay it off, I just pay it off. But I wrote a bunch of checks that I couldn't pay to get my kids back.
You don't wrote them checks, you can't cash.
Wrote checks I couldn't cash.
Okay, so that makes sense. It's not like you were just out there trying to scam the people. You literally, you had all intention of feeling like you could make the money to pay the back at the time, because at that time I think we've all done that. Calculated. I'm gonna write this check and I got so and so day to put the money in the bank. I know I'm guilty of that, and so in the midst of it, you just in a sense got caught up.
Right. I got completely caught up with. My focus was I need my kids back here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want anyone else raising my children. I want my kids, and whatever it takes to get my kids, that's what we doing. So that's what we did. And it caught up with me because my pride wouldn't let me call home
And ask for help.
Because I didn't want to hear I told you not to go. I told you not to this. I didn't want to hear the I told you so. So I did what I thought I could do to make it right. And in the process of all of that, it just backfired on me. Yeah, they came home. Yeah, I got them back. But now they're back. We home. We living. But these checks come back to haunt me.
How soon?
Probably 6 months later.
And so you end up getting arrested, and how long were you gone for your kids?
8 months.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, that was bad.
I'm sure. Look at me. So that's not bad, but that's not, like horrible. Like you was away from them for years.
No.
Yeah. How's your daughter doing?
She's fine.
Good.
Yeah,
and so how do a mother move on? Now here it is, because now it's almost like it's a generation curse, right? You say you've been molested. Now you have your older daughter that had experienced that same thing. How do you move forward as far as a mother? How do you move forward in you guys' relationship is healing it?
It took a lot of prayer, took a lot of fasting, and it took a lot of conversations, real conversations of why this happened to her. Why didn't I see this? Because I should have saw this, because it happened to me, so I should know the signs of a pedophile. I should know the signs of a molester. How did I not know, and why did my child not show signs or symptoms of this? She was total opposite of how I responded. I responded was my mom could never take me around people that violated me. I would get in trouble because I'm not going. I sit on the floor, get stiff, and cry and scream. As my daughter, she never showed any of those signs. But in the conversation with her, she said to me, finally, Mommy, you had seemed happy, and we just did not want to keep you from being happy. So it was costing my child her innocence for my happiness. And so that's why I didn't see it, and that's why we have to really pay attention to our children, even what they're not saying.
It's hard. I don't want to tell stories, but I know what it is to see I overlook something.
Yeah.
And not overlooking because you wasn't attentive, because you wasn't an absent parent. I wasn't an absent parent, but it's some things just slipped under the radar, and it takes a lot for you to walk in forgiveness for yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's just that's it. You just have to learn to forgive yourself, and I'm grateful that the relationship with my child and your child has been mended with the love of God. And so I just think that it's just something. It's life sometimes. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you think you are protecting them, there's just some things that's, I don't know if it's written in the book, that's going to happen, that we just can't protect them from. But the key is to know to forgive yourself and to turn it over to Christ. And so I'm grateful that she's well, and I'm thanking you again. I can't thank you enough for coming over here, just being real. You said something that, earlier when you said the enemy told you something else when you was incarcerated.
Yeah, he told me that I had just got my results back, and he told me that I was they told me I was HIV positive, and what you gonna do? And so in the state of South Carolina, they segregate you.
Because of color or because your diagnosis?
Because of your diagnosis.
Okay.
So that is one of the states that segregate you. So all the HIV patients stay in a dormitory together. You're not segregated as far as on the compound itself, but in housing, they're segregated, and you're on the other side of medical. And so, and you have a bright green, like highlighter green dot on your badge. So everybody know what that highlighted dot is. But as I looked there, it was an awakening, because I was in there and I was paying attention to these women, and I was hearing their stories of how they all got there. And I was determined that a virus wasn't going to kill me. God, at 4 years old, you saved my life. When they told my grandmother I was going to die, when I was hemorrhaging, and they could not stop it, and I saw the angel of the Lord in Plantation General Hospital in the pediatric room. So I know if that didn't take me out, I'm here for a purpose.
How was you going to die at 4 years old from him? Oh, was you raped?
No.
I'm sorry.
I was just hemorrhaging.
Okay.
I woke up one morning, my grandmother was getting ready to take me to Head Start, and as we were in the car, I started vomiting blood. By the time she got me to the hospital, every place there was an opening, blood was running out my
No
ears.
trauma?
No trauma. They couldn't explain it.
Okay.
To this day, no one understands what happened.
And God kept you then.
God kept me then.
So now you are in 2002, you've been diagnosed, and now you know that same God is going to keep you.
That same God is going to keep me.
Yeah.
And we are in 2025, and I still test undetectable, and I don't take antiretroviral drugs.
Question, when you came here today, did you know you was going to share that?
I kind of had an ideal as I was driving here, and the enemy wanted me to wrestle with it, but that was my first ministry. So I never wrestle with it. It may be embarrassing for people, but it's not embarrassing for me, because I know that it's God. My doctors cannot explain why I don't have to take the medication, but I know.
Do you think by you being segregated while you was incarcerated, and having the ideal that everybody eyes on you, know that you had that it strengthened you to be able to do it in the world?
I think it did.
Yeah, like prepared you, should I say? Prepared you.
I think it did. I did. I do believe that, because once I came home and once I got back here to Fort Lauderdale, and I wanted to do that ministry, people kind of looked at me like, you should just keep that to yourself. And
don't you hate that?
yeah, like, you should just keep that. Why?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why should I keep it to myself? And I understand that 23 years ago, we were still a little bit unknowledgeable. We were still, a little bit tabooed. But now, at this point in the game, people are living 20, 30. People are dying, and they're not dying from HIV related issues. They're dying from hypertension and other issues.
Okay, strokes and stress
Right.
taking them out. Yeah, that is something I've learned. That, and let me ask you the question: the people who was telling you to keep it to yourself, were they Christians?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've ran into a lot. I've been through a lot, and I talk about it. It's not about me, but when I came over, gave my life to Christ, and I wasn't living a same-sex life anymore. I've had leaders tell me, "Don't tell my story. Don't tell my story." Why? Why? I'm not ashamed of where I came from. That was my past.
Right.
I passed through that, and so often that's what I talk about. That's why I was saying that I prefer you to come on the platform, because you're not ashamed of your past. You're authentic, and so often we start preaching to people and leave out where God has brought us through. And they want to pretend like they've been clean, they've been holy all their life, like they didn't sleep with Tom, Dick, and Mary.
Come on.
They want to pretend like they didn't rob Peter to pay Paul. And so I just want people to come on that's not going to pretend to be something that they're not. And so now that we know that God has delivered you, right? And it's nobody but God has did that. It is only God that's keeping you. You have no problem with getting on live and telling the people about themselves, sis. I used to say, dang, she's so mean.
And it's not. Really, if you would get to people who know me personally, I'm totally the opposite.
Because you're totally different from on camera ministering till now. When I say now, I think you was at Mary house one time picking up food,
Right.
and it's like it's not the same personality. It's like, and when I say that, not saying you pretended to be anything, but people will get you misconstrued. They won't get to see who you really are.
Right.
And there is the boldness gonna come over you when you minister.
Yeah, and because he told me in that same prison to give it blood raw. And it took me a long time to I unembraced it because of Christians, the church. You can't speak like that. You can't do that. This is not how you do ministry. But it wasn't me being my complete authentic self in him. It was me being what everyone else was telling me to be. And it made me struggle in ministry. It made me turn from ministry. Like, I don't want to do this. And I used to battle with God. I don't want to do this because I don't know how to do this no other way than how you told me, until he told me my issue was that you love me and you're obedient to me, and everything you do is for me, so I'm going to refine you. He said, your issue is you don't like the people. And I say, I don't like them. Do you see how they treat me? Do you see how they talk to me? Do you see how they laugh in my face and talk about me? That hurts me. Like, I've been through this my whole entire life. I didn't know that coming to you was going to cause me this same pain. It was going to make me feel worse than I felt. I know what to expect in the streets, but this is supposed to be the place where they love you, and I realized that no, it's not always that way. That there really are some genuine people who love you, and they can chastise you in love, and then there is some that they just really mean and mean-spirited, and they being mean to you. They don't mean it because they want to see they have a passion for Christ. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand about me. I have a passion for Christ, and I want people to know that if God can take this little black girl who they said at 14 years old would not amount to anything because she had a baby, who they said that because her children's first two kids' father was a crack addict, that her children would be a product of their environment. And now my son is a CEO with no drug addictions, that has did everything opposite from his parents. My same daughter that was molested is in law school, and my youngest daughter is a teacher. But this what they said. But God said otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
If God did that for me, with my lying, with my manipulating, with my vengefulness, with my bitterness, my hatred, because if you did something to me, I'm going to get you back.
Mm-hmm.
But
if tit for tat kind of girl.
Oh, yeah. And I could wait to do it. That's the kind of girl I was. I ain't got to get you today.
You can do what?
I'll wait to do it. I'll get you
Mm-hmm.
if you did it. But I thank God for delivering me from
Mm-hmm.
that, because now I just want to see people healed,
Mm-hmm.
delivered, and set free. So my passion for Christ sometimes comes across as she mean or no, it's just the holy boldness that I want you to know that the same God, He's that God, and He's no respecter person.
Mm-hmm. The word said that through loving kindness have I drawn all men, and it also said that you know, you He chastised them that He loved. You know, and before we get into that, hold on, we gotta be right. We gotta pay some bills, y'all. We'll be right back.
Cancer Has No Boundaries annual event. The event is hosted by the Lewis sisters, Angela Lewis Warren, Sheila O'Brien, and Mary Lewis. The event is in honor of our mother, Willie Lewis, who beat lung cancer, and in honor of our uncle, the late Congressman, John Robert Lewis, who lost a fight to pancreatic cancer. Nominate someone you know that has fought the battle with cancer and won or fighting the battle, and someone who has nurtured a loved one during their journey of cancer. We would love to honor them.
November 1st, 2025. Time 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Cost $75. Thank you in advance.
Okay, we're back. Thank you guys for that. I left off when it said, he said, through loving kindness have I drawn all men. And he also talked about he chastised them that he loved. And so with that being said, who do you feel God is calling you to? With your sternness, with your, you know, your boldness, who is God calling you to? Not everybody else, but you.
I think God has called me to those that just want it real. They don't want the pretense. They don't want the so-called church stuff, but they want to see somebody who can say, I've been there, I've done that, I'm not ashamed to tell my story. And you keep it real with them, and they can appreciate that without all the religious stuff.
And so when I mean, who are you preaching? Are you preaching? Are you ministering? Are you teaching those that don't know the Lord? Do you feel like that's who He called you to, or do you feel like He called you to get the church in order?
Well, He said to get the church in order.
Okay.
To realign them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what He's called me for.
Okay, and knowing that, then I can understand the temperament, the boldness, because you're not speaking to someone who's supposed to not know the Lord. We look for Lord, the God, to draw them with the love. And once we get over here, there is a way that we're supposed to live. There are some things that we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be witness with our life, not just our words. So I get your now understanding your boldness, your tone is coming after those that live so for the Lord.
Right.
Okay. And so now that we know that, also you're married for how long?
I've been married to my current husband going on 7 years.
Oh, okay, so you're still newlywed. Oh, 7 years. That's a 7-year itch. 7 years. You've been married how many times?
This is my third marriage.
Okay, they say 3 times. The third time is a charm. Now, I've been married twice. My first husband, I was married 3.5 years, which was my oldest son's father. And Woody and I were going on 29 years.
That is so good. I always clap when I celebrate you guys.
You do.
I do.
We only dated for 5 months.
That's amazing.
5 months. Mm-hmm. And we've been together 29
Me
years.
and Rodney probably only dated that long before we got married.
Oh, that's his name?
Rodney.
So is Rodney in church? He's a
PK kid, actually.
Okay.
So he's one that he's seen a lot in ministry growing up. So he supports me on the backside, and he's slowly coming in. He always say, like, I love how you do it. I love how you do it. You don't pretend. You just be you.
He listened to you?
He listened.
That's good. Yeah, because although I am a prophet, been ordained as a prophet as well as a pastor, Woody's been a deacon and now he's a minister. He listened to me. And I tend to think now in the last 2 years he listened more and more to me, because not just, the way I live my life, because we live our life together. We do pretty much everything together, but also just some of the things that God has revealed to me and I share with him and he sees it come true, that he trusts the God that's in me. Yeah. And so that's good that he trusted God in me.
And that's what he said. He trusts the God that's in me. And his dad came to visit us about a month ago and stayed with us about a week. And his dad had me literally crying, because he said at 75 years old, he finally met somebody who he could say was authentically loved God, because he's seen a lot. He said, but I'm 75 years old and you made me, this week here with you guys just made me rethink everything. And I was like, what? And I was boo-hoo crying. And he said, I don't say it just to say it, daughter. I'm saying it because everything that you say, you do. And so, we just came off the Jesus journey. And even though he went back home, every single day he was on that Jesus journey. Okay. Every morning.
Talk to the people about the Jesus journey.
Well, the Jesus journey was a 40-day walk with Christ in the wilderness, talking about getting to be intimate with him, building that intimate relationship with Christ. And so we'll know really how to get to the Father, because it says no one can get through the Father unless they go through the Son. So how do I get to really know who the Son is? So I wrote a book called The Jesus Journey, and it's a devotional, and it's 40 days with Christ, and it's helping you to open up and to examine yourself and to see if there's any unforgiveness in you. Do you have bitterness in you? Is there areas of your life that you're stuck in religion and not in relationship? So that's what the Jesus journey is about, just an intimate walk with Christ.
Okay, I'm going to have to get that. I wanted to say that you said they broke you down when your father-in-law was talking to you about that, because ultimately we like to say, I don't care what people think about me, but we do. We do. We may not care about what everybody think about us, but we care about what certain people think about us. And you have to, in a sense, because you never want people to say, if that's what is God, then I want nothing to do with it. And so we do look for some form of validation, but at the same time, I like the idea that even though we don't have the validation, we don't stop doing what God has called us to do. Because I feel like, me too, the church people don't like me. I feel like the church people don't think I'm saved. They don't think I really know the Lord. And so it had to get to the point where I'm okay. Do I like it? Does it feel good? Absolutely not. Do I feel like it's going to be a part of me? It is what it is. And so am I going to allow it to stop me from moving forward in what God has called me to? No, it ain't going to do that. It ain't going to do that. And so you too, we would love that everybody receive, but the word already tells us a prophet's not receiving his own home. Right. And so you come to get desensitized, right? But at the same time, you still want to have compassion in your heart for the people. And I get it when you were saying that you don't like the people. And my very first spiritual leader, I used to call her my spiritual mom, Pastor Allen. She was like, you can't minister to God people and don't like them. He's not going to allow it. And it is so true. So God would have to come and till a heart and change some things so that we can move in love. I'm one of those that it's got to be moved with love, compassion, because people don't want to hear what you're saying if it's not said with love. Right. And so that is just me. But you've written not just one book, but you've written how many? 10? 10
books.
10, girl.
10.
Girl.
Well, actually, I have 10 books that are published.
Come through.
I wrote a book last Sunday.
You wrote a book last Sunday, or did you complete the book last Sunday?
I wrote a book last Sunday. I did noonday prayer. I came off of noonday prayer, and I was sitting on my back porch, and I just started crying. And I said, God, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And I started crying. So every book I've written is a testament of my life. It's something about me that I went through, that I overcame, because that's how he told me I would write. But from a little girl, I've always written my emotions out.
Okay.
And so my husband came to the back door because he heard me be silent from noonday prayer. And he said, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I'm not okay." And I just bust out crying even worse. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm writing a book." And he said, "Why are you crying?" I said, "That's how I'm going to get whole, and that's how I'm going to get healed." And he said, "Okay." And he said, "You want to talk about it?" "I don't want to talk about it. I'm just going to write it out." And I sat out there for hours, and I wrote the book. And it was called Anointed and Unhappy, Broken Behind the Veil. And it talked about everybody see you and they say, "Oh, you anointed," but they don't see you unhappy. They don't see to know what's really going on and what you going through. But I made up in my mind last Sunday was going to be the last day that I cried a tear from hurt, from pain, from being unhappy, because God, I'm going to do this, and you said that the joy of the Lord is my strength. So I need my joy to come back, and I need my peace, because I believe they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I love the idea that you have to be honest. I tell people it is okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not do anything about it.
Right.
And so we just got to push. But, even in that, do you sit with what's causing the unhappiness? And then what do you do about the unhappiness? Because you can never change anything that you're not willing to confront.
Right.
And in order to change something, you gotta face that thing. And so what do you do? I'm asking you, with the unhappiness.
I confronted it. I confronted the things that was making me unhappy. So I had to go back in the house and have that conversation with my husband. This is why I'm unhappy. This is what it is, and we got to come to a place that we love each other, but we don't like each other.
Say that.
We love each other, but we don't like each
See,
other.
I knew you were supposed to be my sister for real, because a lot of people won't say that. I remember when my husband and I first got married, and I'm so sorry for this. I would be so truthful, and people would be like, "You shouldn't say that, you shouldn't say it." But I believe the truth of how I felt at those moments is why we lasted 28 years. I don't think you should pretend, but I can't tell you what to do in your marriage because it's your marriage. But I think truthfulness is what help you overcome. And it is okay. Just because I'm saying this don't mean I want to get rid of you. Just because I'm saying this don't mean I hate you.
Right.
Just because I'm telling you how I feel don't mean it's over. And I think a lot of times we're just afraid to confront those things, and that's why we stay sick.
And that moment of me being honest with him, and he see the raw emotion of like, this is how I really feel, it instantly changed the whole dynamic. Because I didn't know you had a problem with this. You never said anything. Well, I thought if I said something, it was going to cause an argument, or it was going to cause this. But now we at the place I have to say something.
Because if not, what I was afraid of will be.
Right. Yeah. And so I saw over the last week just confronting that issue and saying, "Hey, this is how I really feel. I understand you don't like me, but can I tell you, I know you love me, and I also know you don't like me, but I love you too, and I don't like you either."
And that's crazy. People are like, how is that? You can love a person and not like their ways,
right?
Or not like certain things about them, But nobody's perfect, not even us, you know. It'll be asinine for me to think my husband loves everything there is about me, that there is not something about me that he don't like.
Right.
And so to be able to say that's maturity, that's truth. And hey, it's all about being true to who you are. So,
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Can I ask you? You married your husband. You've been together 7 years. Did he know about your diagnosis when you guys got married?
I told him the first day I met him.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always been honest when I met people, and people that were even getting close to me that I was building relationships with. This is what you need to know about me.
I guess we still working on our relationship, honey, because you ain't tell me.
Well, I thought you knew because everybody know. Maybe nobody just ain't talking about it no more.
Maybe not, honey, because I was like, okay, she finna be what the show's supposed to be, truthful, okay? Be real. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that you didn't know because I've
My
said,
sister know.
yeah, your sister knows.
So that's why you probably assumed that I knew.
Well, I didn't assume because she told, but she would tell you because I know that she wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I assumed because it was something that was public knowledge
Okay.
that I've said before,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess it ain't the topic of conversation no more.
But you don't want to do that ministry anymore? You said you wanted to do the ministry,
Well,
but people would tell you not to.
I did the ministry for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Lord led me somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
and so it comes up when it needs to come up.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's
Mm-hmm.
just not that statement. This is what it's all about.
Right.
It comes up where it needs to come up. Like today was a moment
Mm-hmm.
that there is a viewer out there
Mm-hmm.
that is battling with this truth.
Tell 'em.
That there's a viewer out there that is battling with this truth. That the way for you to get healed, whole, and delivered, and really believe God and what He said is for you just to speak it out of your mouth and say it. And you will be healed and you will be made whole. You know, I remember when the Lord said that to me. He said that this wouldn't take me out.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that when I was in prison, that this virus would never take me out. And people would say, well, what about when you go to the doctor and you get that test result that says that it's non-reactive, that you're undetectable, but the virus is still there. I don't care what that paper say. I know what God said. I know what God said, but that's a constant reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, you better stay with God.
Mm-hmm.
You better walk with God.
Mm-hmm.
You better live for God. You better do everything that God has called you to do. And so that's my reminder. Like Paul say, a thorn.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's my thorn.
Mm-hmm.
But it keeps me in remembrance of Him being a healer. It keeps me in remembrance of Him being my deliverer.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had COVID, and I'm like, COVID, you can't take me out. HIV ain't take me out.
Mm-hmm.
I might be testing positive for 4 months for COVID,
But
but look how long I've been testing for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's so real. I was just going to say something, but it is so real. My thorn, as far as yes, God would give us things to keep us humble, because He want to use you for mightiness. He want to use me for His glory as well. And so He makes sure that we will never ever steal His glory.
Right.
And I believe that's why the thorn is there, because we feel like, and I don't know about you, I feel like I'm absolutely nothing without God.
Me too.
I feel like the only reason why I can do what I do and I show up is because of His grace and His mercy. And because of that, it allows me to see people for who they are and not judge. Because I know what it is to be judged.
Right.
It allowed me to be able to embrace people and not reject people, because I know what it feels like to be rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do everybody is allowed in my circle? Absolutely not.
Right.
Am I a part of everybody's circle? Absolutely not. But at the same time, I don't believe the story where they say hurt people. I believe I've been hurt so that I would never want to cause that pain for somebody else. Yeah.
Right. That's what I believe too.
Yeah,
I truly believe that. I truly believe that God healed my hurt and He healed my pain, and He allowed me to see all of those things and feel all of those things so that I could show the compassion of Christ to somebody who would go through those same things like you and I did, but maybe not be strong enough to endure. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's that remnant that He has that can show that love and say, I know what you feel, I know what you've been through. But He got you. He got you. And when you tell them their story, they be looking at you like,
Oh, I want to just ask you to do me a favor. I want you to talk to somebody who's listening to you and I today that has been experienced, whether it be incarcerated, whether it be lost their children, whether it be molested, whether they're diagnosed with HIV. What would you tell them that you don't let shame overtake them, as well as just give up and lose hope in life?
what I stand to is I stand on this scripture. But the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But Christ came that you can have life and that you can have it more abundantly. That was the first scripture he gave me when I was in prison. The second scripture he gave me was Jeremiah 29:11 that says, "For I know the thoughts and I know the plans that I have for you. Plans for you to prosper and meet an expected end." And when I tell you today that no matter what has come your way, no matter what you have faced, be it imprisonment, be it disease, whether it's HIV, it could be lupus, it could be sarcoidosis, it could be heart conditions, whatever that condition is. We serve a God that is a healer, and because he is a healer, you stand on his words and you stand on his promises, because that's what the enemy wants to take away from you. He wants to steal the joy of the Lord that will strengthen you to endure. And the Bible says that those that endure to the end inherit the kingdom of God. And I stand on just those principles alone, and that's what I always come in remembrance of. And if you just take those 3 little things, I promise you it's light on the other side of this darkness that you are facing.
Amen. Thank you for that. How do the people connect with you?
You can follow me on Facebook at Tania D. Moore-Lovett. My books are on Amazon under Tania Moore-Lovett. All of them are there. You can get them on Amazon. And for the life coach, it is the Dream Coach Tania. You can look it up and you will find me.
Are you just on Facebook? Are you on Instagram, TikTok, or anything like that?
I do Instagram, but I don't really know how to do Instagram and TikTok that good. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But
I'm going to do a class. Hold on. I'm going to do a class for all of us in a minute.
Please do that class for us, because we need it.
Okay. Tell them again about Facebook, how to reach you.
Facebook is Tania D. Moore-Lovett.
And your books, you've written 10 books. They're most like self-help books.
They're basically self-help books. They range from, all of them are about deliverance. They're about facing spiritual warfare. They're about stories, broken. If you want to read about how to overcome the molestation, the book Broken is about me and my daughter and how we overcame the molestation in the story.
Okay.
From Pain to Purpose, The Making of an Apostle, it talks about how I took my pain and the Lord showed me that it had purpose.
Yeah, that's another one. I should have you back on the show, because I want to talk to you about female apostles, and like how did you walk through that? Did you get ridiculed about that? Because you still got those people that feel like females shouldn't be preaching, females can't be apostle. I don't know how I feel about female being a bishop, because according to Timothy, I don't know. But nevertheless, nobody asked me about that part. But I'm just saying.
Right.
And so we'll talk about that another time. But anyway, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I greatly appreciate it. I feel like I got to know you in a different light, a better light. And I am really glad that we had this conversation.
I'm glad to be here to have that conversation with you and your audience. I hope that it blesses them, that it helps them, that it heals them.
Me too. Yo, I thank you guys for joining us. This was amazing. I mean, this was really one of the best shows to me since we came back. And I hope that you listen to something that she said. I hope you know that no matter what you go through, God can deliver you out of all. And those things that God allowed to happen, because listen, nothing happened without God allowing it. He is still there with you. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. And there is purpose behind everything you endure. So go through this journey knowing that God is here, and God is never, ever, ever, ever going to turn his back on you nor me. And so keep your head up. If you have someone that's suffering with HIV and you need any help, I'm sure we're going to be able to put a number down that's going to help you to reach out so you can tell your story to someone, or you can get some form of help. Don't allow shame to keep you down. Don't allow shame to keep you sick, right? And that's anything. You own it as sick as your secret. You own it as sick as your secret. And so don't let your secret keep you sick.
I like that.
This is your girl Angela with BTrue2U Talk Show, and everything you do, always be true to you. I love you and I mean it. Bye.